All right. Thank you everyone for joining today. We have Doug MacDonald, who is a marketing solutions consultant with Synergent Corporation. Doug has years of experience in working with credit unions and helping them provide the tools to successfully onboard members, especially in the first 90 to 120 days, which is the most important time to try to bring those members on board and make them use all of your sticky products. And I am not going to steal any more of Doug's thunder, so I'm going to turn it over to Doug. He's the expert. So, Doug, welcome. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Dean, and thank you all for joining today. I'm really excited to talk about one of my favorite topics, which is new member onboarding, and we'll even talk about a little bit of existing member reboarding today too. But I know this is a small group; it's kind of intimate. I know some of you may feel comfortable kind of jumping in, asking questions, and chatting, and some of you may not. I would encourage you to do so. I'd rather not drone on for this meeting. So if you have questions, please hold on to them.
Yes.
If everyone can mute their
I was gonna email
please.
Emily, but I wanted to. Is it okay if I email her and start sending? I do, and I
Yes, just might try to mention it to her again while we're there.
All right, sorry. Yeah, today, if you have questions, please jump off mute, ask, let's collaborate and talk about, anything you feel comfortable talking about. I understand some of you may feel competitive or may not find this to be the right space to talk about things. And I would just encourage you to reach out after this call if you feel that way and want to continue to talk. So very excited to talk to you today about onboarding. I know it's a priority for all of you in attendance, so we'll get right to it. As your members join your credit union, a well-executed onboarding process really offers a great way to welcome a credit union new member, educate them about the products and services you have and how you can continue to meet their needs, and just create a better, ultimately loyal lifetime membership. So lots of ways to go about it. And today, I just wanted to make sure that we reviewed some of the key takeaways that we're going to have. Apologize, I got a little computer issue on my end. So in today's agenda, we'll be learning why onboarding is important, how to implement an effective strategy, and step through some examples of what success looks like. So key takeaways today, and I want to take advantage of the best opportunities that you have to cross-sell additional products and services to your new member by talking through some of those. We want to talk about how a great, strong, robust onboarding strategy is proven to help boost retention rates and educate members to improve your primary financial institution status and improve their experience, right? And so we've got some examples of how member growth, the member experience can remain the top priorities for your onboarding strategies. So we'll look at why, so what are some of the reasons and the importance of an onboarding campaign in your marketing plan? And before I forget to mention it, only 40% of credit unions have an onboarding plan. And typically it's not comprehensive. So if you don't have an onboarding campaign or plan or strategy today, don't feel bad about that. You're certainly not in the minority. We'll look at how too. So we'll learn how to utilize a tailored, personalized communication approach to really resonate with members. We'll also learn some of the strategies to enhance the member experience in a timely fashion, as Dean mentioned. And I've got some case studies to share. We actually have a whole bunch of case studies on our website. I think we have about 8 or so having to do with onboarding. Encourage you to reach out to that as a resource. Any case study that we share, we have permission from the credit unions that we work with to share. And that's just to help further your initiatives. You can learn from others and get a little bit further down the road to success in doing so. And so in the cooperative spirit, we have lots to share today. And I had to look earlier this morning. we've got a lot of experience with onboarding at Synergent. We've actually won 12 awards, CUNA, Diamond Awards, Mac Marketing Awards, and we've got a lot of really great experience, case studies, results to share today. So we'll get right to it. So first up, we're going to be talking about onboarding, just the value strategy and some of the planning around it. So we know that the initial 90 to 120 days of membership are crucial to shaping new members' journey and their perception of your credit union. That's the opportunity that you have to really galvanize yourselves in the mind of members. And you also have some risk in that time period too, which is if you're not properly helping to educate a member when they join, there's some risk that they're not going to be satisfied in the long run. And so I often encourage everyone to think about a new membership in that process. So you go in, you sign your membership agreement, maybe you're opening an account for a variety of reasons. And sometimes you leave with a lot of product information. Sometimes you're overwhelmed. Sometimes you were doing something else, maybe getting an auto loan or, there for other reasons, which can be not only, consume your attention, but are really important. So you don't always leave with a complete picture of everything that your credit union can do for you. Onboarding helps to lengthen out that process so that your members can consume as they're ready and as they're interested, and as appropriate products and services that you have can be communicated to them over a much longer time period. That's much more appropriate because you do a lot of things and there's a lot that's unique to your credit union that can be shared with members. There's no way of doing that all, in a quick little sit down, half hour is probably not enough time. And you want them to explore the products and services that they're most interested in too. So we do a combination of lengthening out that process and really finding products and services that resonate with members where they're at by hyper targeting on an individual basis, products and services to each member on an individual basis. And that combination really works to help onboard members and share some results and how that all comes together. So on the next slide, we talk about why this timing is important. So we know financial industry research indicates that your best chance of cross-selling is in that first 90 days. So, formalized program is really, really important to make sure that you're systematically making sure that members understand who you are. And it's not just for new membership, but also existing membership, right? So your existing members may have known who you were when they joined, but maybe it's 5-10 years later and you've completely redefined your product and service mix. How you serve your credit unions has changed. So there's an opportunity to reach out to existing members with the same methodologies and leverage everything that's in your onboarding strategy to existing members too, just to re-educate them. I challenge everyone to think 5 years ago what your credit union may have had for products and services and what you've added and how much you've changed. And whether your members truly know about all those changes. I think one of the saddest stories is when members leave, and we know this happens because they don't believe you have a product that you have. We hear it all the time. It's cringeworthy, right? I didn't realize you had lending. Oh, you've been a member for 5-10 years and you didn't know we did lending? That's heartbreaking in a sense, but there's a lot of opportunity here too to make sure that that doesn't happen, or at least happens a lot less, by bringing that re-education and reboarding to membership as well. So I know timing is important, but it's not a lost cause if you're just starting now, or if you're just starting to get serious about your onboarding strategies. So today we'll talk about some of the best efforts around that and why timing is so important. So along with the value or valuation of onboarding, there's lots of ways to value why and how an onboarding campaign is important. So we've got cost of acquisition, value of retention or retaining your members, right? Deepening those interactions, including product adoption, making sure your members are more satisfied, and ultimately we want loyal lifetime members, right? So we're just going to take one way, just the first way, in cost of acquisition, and talk about that for a minute. And got a little bit of fun. I want to have a little bit of fun today. So if anybody wants to come off mute and share what they think the average cost to acquiring a new member at your credit union is, it could be to your credit union or the average as a whole, love to hear what you think the average costs are for acquiring one new member. And I often challenge everyone to think about new members coming in with a little jar of money, right? That's how much you put into the jar just to get them to walk through the door. Digital branch or physical branch, that's how much you've invested already in the member on average. Any guesses by anybody who wants to come off mute? No?
$300?
$300 is a really good guess. Actually, the range is between $300 and $600. The average is over $500 for credit unions in particular. Banks are a little bit better at this. They're a little bit better at acquisition costs and keeping those down. So the challenge here is when you're evaluating the purpose, the value, the opportunity with onboarding is if you could invest a little bit more money to make sure that that member was properly onboarded after they came through your doors, became a new member after you've invested so much in them, you absolutely would, especially knowing how much sunk investment you already have in just getting a new member through your door. So you want to treat them right. And for a few extra dollars, you can do that in a way that really creates a lot more benefit to your credit union in the long run, and ultimately a lot more benefit to that member, not just in their satisfaction, but in their betterment of their financial livelihoods. So in the next screen, we kind of talk about the new member experience and journey, right? So lots of ways to take a look at this or think about this, but what we have is a combination of factors in that new member experience and journey. We have retention and loyalty as reasons why the success of an onboarding campaign becomes crucial. We have products and services utilization, member experience and satisfaction. We have the reduction of operational costs. And then we have community values and belonging that all fold in to make a successful strategy around onboarding. So I mentioned the average. The average is actually $562.50 in new member onboarding, that's an average. You may be higher, you may be lower. It does come down to an individual attribution and calculation for new membership. But if all of your marketing dollars, advertising dollars, you put that in the numerator line and the denominator is the number of members you have, you can get to your own personal average on that. In the marketing channels that we have, and this is by no means a complete set, but I wanted to go over, there's so many channels that we can leverage and utilize for onboarding. I wanted to go over some of them. In the direct marketing channels, we have mail and email. We see a lot of activity here, and I've got some examples to share. On the web, we have landing pages and microsites to help resonate with members and personalize content to them across the board. We have one-on-one interactions with new members. So this would be personal interactions, including follow-up letters, phone calls, outbound phone calls. Maybe you want to make sure your members who have checking accounts have received their checkbooks within a timely manner, or just want to use take an excuse to reach out to members, see if you can satisfy additional needs when you give them a call. There's social media opportunities as well as referrals too. And then we have search, whether it's search engine optimization or search engine marketing, ads. We have all sorts of opportunities for onboarding marketing channels that we can leverage, and we'll show you some examples of those today. So we have on screen now a little bit of a sample strategic program plan, and I would encourage all of you to make sure you satisfy all of these categories with your plan. It doesn't have to be a multi-page document. You can see an example on screen of it's a one-pager really, but to have an outline of a plan that's comprehensive enough to include your business objectives. So always want to start with your business objectives, which are truly unique. We've had dozens of onboarding campaigns that we've run, and no two are alike, and even from year to year we make adjustments with consulting with our credit unions to make sure that those are optimized. But your credit union is unique, your membership is unique, your onboarding campaign should really truly be unique. This isn't a one-size-fits-all approach, but back to your business objectives, you want to make sure that you're addressing those. You've got a positioning statement, so what you want from a marketing perspective to happen with your onboarding campaign, your communication goals, your target audience, your unique selling points. So what is unique about your credit union that you want to share with membership, and key messaging you want them to be educated on, walk away with. You've got your own tactical approach from that last slide on channels. And then you want to make sure you're tracking, right? So you know how your ROI is performing on your campaign, how successful it is, and whether you're tracking those measurements that satisfy your business objectives ultimately, to create a feedback loop to improve your campaign over time. So in this next section, we're really going to be looking at some examples and some results of onboarding. So we'll jump right in to the visuals, which are always fun and helps illustrate a story. This is an example of a campaign that we did that worked with a credit union on, that is great because it's a great example of kind of a spotlight approach, right? I think we called it a carousel, but a spotlight approach for products and services. So this credit union wanted every member to know all the products and services that were available to them according to their priorities. They want to highlight one in particular for each member that would really resonate with that member. So if a member came on board with a checking account, we're not going to try and get them into a checking account again. We're going to talk about what they can do with that checking account, and then move on to the next best product and service for them, not necessarily for the credit union, but for the individual member. And what I love about this is no two pieces were alike, and there's even kind of a front and center product or service that was highlighted in various pieces: email, direct mail, and web microsites, but also a little sidecar offer too. So maybe it was a member without a checking account, but also wanted to let that member know that you had auto loans too, right? And so maybe they came in, opened a share draft, and just want to educate them on the next best couple of products and services for them, or what they could do with the product that they just adopted, and what they might want to take a look at as they move forward through the process. What we typically see is a phased approach, and I'll walk through a nice example in the next few slides using Bear Heritage as an example and their onboarding campaign. But what we typically see is a phased approach, which includes maybe a letter that goes out as soon as possible after a member joins, followed by a series, maybe 1 a month or so, to meet that 90-day window that we know is critical. And I'll step through that over the next few slides here. So in the next slide, we have a little bit of a logic map, right? So this is how some of the automation, without taking away the personalization, works. And so how we can drive personalization and automation at the same time to truly create unique experiences for each member. And when we started doing this, boy, it was probably over a dozen years ago. One of the first campaigns we did, we challenged ourselves to make every single experience with every single member unique. Even if you had 2 members in the same household that opened the same products, we wanted them to have a different, unique experience. We still wanted to meet our objectives for the campaign, which we did, but we wanted to make sure that each member had their own unique experience, because they're on their own unique journey, even in the same household. This is an example of some onboarding logic. It's fairly simple, but what you have is a welcome letter and then a phased approach, just like we were talking about. So we have a welcome letter that goes out, and a new member phase, right? So just kind of talking about products and services that are available to members, all happening within the first 1 to 30 days. The next phase was all about checking, and we see this often. There's a checking whether they have checking, and if they do have checking, what they can do with their checking account, or what they can expect in the coming days. Along with checking, maybe you're encouraging them to log into online banking, or to get more engaged in payments and top of wallet, debit cards, credit cards, those types of things. And if they don't have checking, you can share more about the checking products you have. So you're not trying to educate a member on the product that they already have, but you are helping them utilize the product that they already have and how they can unlock its full potential. Some of the electronic services that maybe go along with the product and then walk down through additional phases. Then we typically see lending phases and convenience services phases following it. In this case, we had e-services and lending as the third phase. But again, there's not a one size fits all logic. It should follow your business objectives. In this case, it was either or for the final phase. And I'll share some examples in the following screens on how that looks. So here's an example of that first phase welcome letter. So this is a self mailer, just making sure that it's personalized to the member and they feel welcomed. And this can come from your CEO. This can come from your lending officer that helped open maybe a loan for a member. We've seen a variety of different approaches. We can even have it signed, a picture of the arm or MSR, I mean, for whoever was interacting with the new member. We do a lot of really fun, creative things to make sure that we're following up in a systematic way, in a controlled way, that the messaging is clear, but it still comes across as personalized as well. So good example of that. All of this is automated, but again, we're not losing that personal touch. This is an example of the second phase. So this is all about checking. So we got members with checking accounts kind of talking about what they can do, and members without checking accounts, encouraging them to take a look at checking products and the benefits of that. So messaging is different. And we also personalize these as well. So it's not just personalized based on member's name. I think of one of the very first campaigns we did for a university credit union that really wanted to resonate with new students as members primarily. And we did 15 points of personalization. So there was a mascot for the school that they were attending. We included it on the piece. We included their name on a debit card. Just had fun with leveraging the data and data mining opportunities to resonate with members. So again, creating that personal experience, even with print and email pieces, to make sure we're leveraging the data and intelligence that we have to make the campaigns more effective. The next example is phase 2, email. We've got, again, with and without checking, just to give an example. And these can further be personalized. We have some campaigns that are not as simple. There's multiple versions for multiple different products and services depending on the phase. But again, making sure that we're not trying to, I think it's cringeworthy, but sell on a checking account to someone who already has one. We really want to make sure that we're meeting members in real time where they are and advancing with them. This is one approach, the phased approach. There's also one that's really entirely driven by the member themselves. So as they adopt products and services, they're communicated in real time, and it kind of follows them and their timing as well. This is third phase. So again, focused on e-services and lending, just making sure that those with a checking account understand that there are lending products and opportunities. But you can get as granular as you want with this. So we can exclude members that already have a certain type of loan and not talk about that loan, or talk about what they can do with a specific type of loan. So you can get as specific as you want to with members. And there certainly are some benefits to really getting specific to the member journey, as we discussed. Next example is just an email example of that same third and final phase, but just wanted to share some visuals there. And then we have results of the campaign on the following slide. And a lot of these results speak for themselves, but within 90 days, we know that it's a critical time period because we could see so much movement. And this is not, we usually insulate on the attribution side the first few days, because we know there's a lot of product adoption. There's loans that are being approved even up to the first week. So we'll exclude all that and kind of look for movement after day 5, day 7, depending. But who wouldn't want 33% more of their new members opening a checking account? Who wouldn't want 10% increase in checking account penetration, an increase in home banking, mobile banking adoption, and e-statement adoption? This is just the results for this specific campaign. 35% new members opening at least one loan, and 6% increase in lending penetration for those same members. So moving the needle in all of these objectives, and you may have 2 or 3 objectives for your onboarding campaign, but in a lot of ways we track and make sure that we can identify all the ways that onboarding is having an impact. In fact, on the next slide, I have some aggregated results from all of the onboarding campaigns that we've seen. And so this is an average throughout all the campaigns that we've partnered with credit unions on. I want to say it's about 24 different campaigns. And just to give you an idea of what you can expect from a well-executed onboarding campaign for you. And so these are just averages. Of course, yours will be better or worse in some cases, but we see a 11.5% increase in checking penetration. I know everyone would like to say that's what their onboarding campaigns were doing for them, is making a difference, making a big impact. But again, who wouldn't want more checking accounts? A 13.4% increase in shares just in general. And then a 27% decrease in attrition. So you want your new members to stay, right? You've spent so much to get them there. And especially in the first 90 days, it's just heartbreaking to see a member kind of join and close their account or move on. But we've seen that year-over-year attrition rate drop when this is successfully implemented by more than a quarter, which is terrific. So you're retaining 1 out of 4 more members, which is a great way to continue to make sure that you're growing and not just churning, right? On the next slide, more aggregated results. We've got 3 times lift in e-statement adoption. So again, just letting members know that there are e-statements that are available, how they can utilize and sign up for those e-statements and get all signed up. We see great adoption in that first 90 days. Home banking and mobile banking activity also up, which is just demonstrating the engagement with your credit union, right? So if you want that PFI status, you're going to start to see it in the home banking and or online banking in general. So we're seeing that and tracking that as well. So I thought it was important to share some of those aggregated results. The next example I wanted to share is just on design and theming, because you can have a lot of fun with your onboarding campaigns. And I just thought this was a great example. So we have Bear Heritage. It's gone through a redesign. That example that I showed earlier shows some of their pieces. They've gone through a redesign. This is an example of their postcards, and they're iterating on what's working and what's not working. Their theming is similar, but it's changing, and they're trying new things, and we're tracking the results of those so that they can improve, and it creates this feedback loop to continually, every year, make sure that the campaign is doing better. So you can see examples of postcards here on the next screen. You can see an example of emails and landing pages and how they're looking to connect with members. You can actually predefine landing pages for each individual member that they can access, and they can see special offers that are just for them, right? Personalization that talks about how they can log in and utilize the products and services they have. They can explore on their own too. You can't see below the fold, but they can go on their personal landing page and kind of pick a tile, a topic that they're interested in, and click through. That's all traceable, trackable, and you can make sure that you're following up with members that may have had an interest in loans or e-services and so on. Just an example on screen of checking, and then e-services. Next one is lending postcards. You can kind of see it's a fun theme. Each month, pieces are going out, direct mail and email in this case, and their personalized microsite and landing pages are changing all the time as well with new content, fresh content. So their new members are engaged. They're seeing mail come. They're seeing emails come. They're going out to their microsites, engaging. And again, we're able to lengthen out that process of welcoming a member and making sure that they understand the products and services available to them and how they'll benefit from them. So it's just some examples. I know we talked about reboarding and how important that is as a consideration. I wanted to share some examples and some results around reboarding. So, reboarding to existing members at a credit union, it can be highly beneficial has strategy not just to your new members, but your existing members. And it has all the same key benefits of onboarding just over your entire membership. So it's a strategic tool that can really significantly enhance the relationship between your current membership and or existing membership. And it can ride the same rails as you know, a lot of the data mining, a lot of the segmentation, a lot of the strategy. You can leverage even the same creative for your existing members, almost run your existing members through the same campaign logic that we saw earlier to make sure that if they don't have a checking account, they know what your current offering is. So we have an example on the next page of Bear. I'm just following Bear through this entire example, but we have many examples and case studies of credit unions. But Bear went through and wanted to offer, you know, a couple of special rewards to members. They wanted to see if they could drive checking and lending adoption with current memberships, with their current members and membership, and really wanted to make sure they reached out with a special offer. So they were giving $300 when you open a checking account and $100 for an auto loan, but they use the same methodology as their onboarding campaign, the same segmentation to reach out to members. And we're really able to, again, ride the same kind of targeting rails with those offerings to their current membership. And they had wild success. So on the next page, you'll see some of the results. They actually did this campaign. They do this campaign about once a year and have for a few years now. But they saw 3.3 million in new auto loans, just as a result of reaching out to members and making sure they understood that they have auto loans. They had a 7.5% conversion rate. So it was, I think it was 129. Yeah, 120, it says it on the screen. 129 new auto loans, a 7.05% conversion rate. So that's, you know, you can do the math on how many people reached out to. We're not talking about an entire membership. This is a very affordable approach, but again, the same logic and methodology as onboarding utilized to reach out to current members and make sure that they're aware and just driving great results. They even saw 17 new checking accounts as part of the initiative. So this campaign paid for itself in 2 weeks. I think on the next screen, I've got all the stats from that campaign, all the return on investment. So even before the campaign was really finished, it had paid for itself. Very low cost initiative. And you have all this great creative methodology, logic, strategy, messaging in your new membership onboarding that you can leverage all year long. And you can actually keep that drumbeat going for your current members too, which is really beneficial. They've experienced a number of years of benefiting from making sure that they focus on reboarding. So I didn't want to leave out reboarding. It's a great tactic. It's kind of the low-hanging fruit that we often don't think about current membership, don't think about checking accounts and lending with current membership. We assume that they know, and there's an opportunity to. On screen now, you'll see an example of some of the award-winning onboarding campaigns that we've done. I put a little QR code in the slide so you could, you know, hit it with your smartphone and run out to see some of those case studies that we've got. We've got a lot of stories that we can share, and we're very lucky to have credit unions that are willing to share those stories. Again, I would highly encourage you to take a spin through, learn what you can from others just to get you further down the road to success. Be happy, obviously, to talk to you about any of the approaches here and, you know, really kind of work with you to make sure that you're getting a personalized approach. You'll see each one of these campaigns very different. You'll see the approaches are different, the creative, the strategies are different. And that's not by chance. That's just what's right for each one of the credit unions. But there may be little pieces in each that you like and that you want to find out about. And just really highly encourage you to take a closer look at all those wonderful stories. More than we can cover today. And I was hoping just to share a couple stories and the aggregated results so that we could start somewhere, but again, I'd love to continue this conversation with all of you. Just wanted to leave with some key takeaways, or next steps for you towards success. And so, we provide consultation, obviously, but a personalized, targeted approach to marketing to resonate with members. So, want to encourage you to do that. We've seen it work, and these are just kind of 6 key takeaways to a successful onboarding campaign. We help identify audiences and target products and services for members, and to help craft those strategies, and we'd be happy to do so. In fact, we are offering to anyone in attendance today a free, no obligation snapshot analysis of your new member data to help you identify opportunities for your new membership, and just kind of see a landscape view from a data-driven approach of where your members are, where your opportunities are, and to hopefully help move the needle for you. So I highly encourage you to take advantage of that. Ordinarily, we charge $2,500 for that analysis, but that's our gift to you. That's how firmly we believe in the cause and how important new onboarding is. So definitely want you to take advantage of that. On the design side, we've got great designers. I'm sure some of you work with design firms or have designers on staff, but you want to drive that attention-getting marketing to reinforce your messaging and really resonate with individual member too. Next is you want to have a series of multi-channel pieces, email, direct mail. We showed some of those today, microsites, social media, search, advertising, not just to try and attract your members, but start them on their onboarding process and on their journey throughout their new membership journey. And we know that through predictive targeting of members who are most likely to adopt products and services, we see some great retention and product adoption. So we want to leverage that data mining that I talked about, and track track your responses, track your results, make sure that you understand how your campaign is performing and where there are opportunities to make adjustments and improvement. The next kind of takeaway I wanted to share is the CCUA Synergent Marketing Services suite of services. If you scan the screen today, and we'll follow up with an email as well, you'll see all sorts of resources and a toolkit specifically for onboarding that shares a lot of links out to some of the content that I shared today, but also just allow you to explore on your own, not unlike onboarding, right? The different approaches that are available to you. So great resource. Highly encourage you to take a look through that toolkit. This should send you right to the onboarding section of the toolkit. And with that, I'll break for questions. Any questions? Anybody want to come off mute or send questions in the chat?
It looks like we got one in chat. So let me just open it up. Can you explain how Onboard Reboard uses social media? Is it just ads?
Yeah, so just part of the process. I think the example that comes to mind first is some of our credit unions that we work with have referral programs, right, as part of their onboarding strategy. So if you've got a new member and they're happy, using or leveraging social media to make sure that the referral program works well and is kind of working as a feeder program or feeder to the program is one example. It's a good question.
I have a question that I thought of. So in one of your earlier slides, you said you use a combination of email, direct mail, social media. What touch point do you find gets the most traction, and does age play into the factor of those specific touch points?
Absolutely. Ages or really the the personal attributes of anyone has a factor, but what we see is a combination of, and we know we've done a lot of studies on this, a combination of email and direct mail. So we have direct mail that's reinforced with the email. So you get a nice piece in the mail, and a few days later you get an email where you can have direct access to the call to action and, in front of you, clicking through your email. We see that as a great combination. And we've done enough experimenting with onboarding by turning down pieces for maintenance to see what the impact is, what the loss or drop off is. And it's more than double, right, when you do those two in combination. The third piece that I would add to that, which really kind of reinforces, is the microsite, personalized microsite or landing page, right? So making sure a member has a landing page that they can go to where they can see all the products and services that are specifically available to them, and not just whatever phase maybe they're in or you're talking about in direct mail or email, but also all of the different products and services so they can explore on their own. That's where it really kind of kicks it into high gear. So we see it's not just a 2 times, it's a 3x increase in the effectiveness of the campaign. That's a really good question, Gene.
Thank you. We have another question that came through chat. Do you have any credit unions that have an onboarding, reboarding plan beyond 120 days?
Yes, absolutely. Another great question. We actually have one that runs year round and also includes reboarding, so it kind of switches over. So we have one that goes for the first 6 months of membership, making sure to continue the conversation, and then kind of switches over and folds everybody into a reboarding campaign that happens monthly. So it's a monthly initiative. And I think it's entirely appropriate, right? You're making sure members are aware of new products and services that are coming on, maybe monthly or annually, and just keeping that drumbeat going. So we see that. We even see it kind of sometimes lead into a dormancy strategy. So if you have members that are not interacting, right? Maybe they've been a member for a year and are doing very little, kind of a dormancy or a save strategy as well. So yeah, there's no end. It's just that we know that the first 90 to 120 days is a super critical time period to make an impact on those new members. It's not a lost cause though. Some of the lowest hanging fruit is again with your existing membership. So that can continue year round. And in many cases, the best programs we've seen take advantage of that. Really good question.
To tag on to that question, this is another one I thought of. So if I'm a new credit union that did a poor job with onboarding, we have a lot of dormant members. At what point would you consider them to start in a reboarding campaign? Would it be at their 1-year anniversary, 2 or 3-year anniversary, just to remind folks, hey, we're here, we see you use our checking and our debit card, but we have this whole other suite of services?
Another good question. The reality is that number, as no rule of thumb, the magic number is different for each credit union. What we do is we do a snapshot analysis on dormant accounts to look at where that average is or where that fall off is pronounced, right? And then we rewind to make a difference. So if you knew, oh boy, for whatever reason, month 43 of membership, there's a lot of drop off. You don't want to start talking about things at month 43. You want to go back right before that to make an impact. And so we have a full snapshot analysis, and it's different for each credit union where that fall off starts to occur and where the biggest impact can be. It can never be too soon to be talking about that, of course, talking about engagement with your members. But at some point, you got to start somewhere, and your members are all of different, ages, and that engagement can kind of pick up. So that analysis is another analysis that we help credit unions with. I'd be happy to help any one of you with to kind of understand where that drop off is and to help re-engage.
Okay.
Yeah. Any other questions? These are really good questions.
Feel free to unmute yourself and ask, or if you're shy and you want to go through chat, that works as well. But in the meantime, I have another question. So you had mentioned one campaign that was very successful. It had paid for itself in 2 weeks, but obviously not every campaign is going to have that return on investment within 2 weeks. So on average, do you track like how long it takes a credit union to recoup that investment? Is it,
Yeah, yes, we always do. So it's really important to always provide ROI, and we have pretty comprehensive reporting that we provide on campaigns. Onboarding campaign reporting typically happens quarterly, if not biannually. But yeah, we track every metric we can to help improve it. And if we see something that can be improved, we make the recommendations to improve it based on the data and response. I don't have that aggregated, but it's a good thought. I can look into it.
okay. Any other questions for Doug while we have him?
I did want to offer Dean and anybody who's still on to kind of take everyone through that snapshot analysis, just so everyone could see what it looks like. If anyone wants to stay on and kind of see that snapshot analysis or example of one, you might see it's not going to be your data, of course, so it won't be as interesting as if your data was included in the snapshot, but might give you a window into how that snapshot might help you. It's actually a couple clicks through. Sorry, Dean. There we go. So for everyone who's remained, thank you. Definitely just wanted to share an example of a onboarding snapshot analysis. Again, anyone in attendance today, be happy to provide this snapshot analysis for you. On the first page of the analysis, you can see a little bit of the landscape on monthly trends, just kind of showing or demonstrating when your membership joins, right? So this is not your data, so it's not going to be as interesting as if it was your data, but we could really talk about any seasonality to your membership and any considerations around the calendar year. In some cases, I think I mentioned earlier, we were working with a university-based credit union, and as you can imagine, during matriculation, you see a ton of new membership. And so we knew that, come August of every year, we needed to be ready with the campaign and really kind of focused on those new members. So you may see, different seasonality. This just kind of gives you a little bit of a trend or insight into what that seasonality would be to your new members, and a breakout of, are they direct, are they indirect relationships? Because that can have an effect as well on your overall strategy, and should. The next page just kind of shows membership adoption rates. Again, it's broken out by direct and indirect. Sometimes it's harder to get email adoption from those indirect members. Some of you may have it as a requirement for your indirect relationships. And then you kind of see how your new members compare to your overall peer averages as well. We try and provide as much context as possible so you can see how well you're doing in the context of your peers. Next is new member attrition. So we want to understand how members are churning today, of course, looking to impact churn and decrease the number of members that are leaving. So again, puts a stake in the ground, so to speak. So you have some metrics to kind of see how the needle has moved in the future when it comes to attrition. And then, breaking that out again by indirect relationships can sometimes be helpful, because some members are there for the auto loan. They're not even really aware of your credit union at all. That's a huge opportunity. And one of the largest we see with onboarding is letting members know what it means to be a member of your credit union, especially in that indirect relationship where they may not even know your name. So opportunities there to really graduate from just a lending entity or where they make payments to their primary financial institution, which is a huge opportunity. We mentioned age earlier, age demographics. Sorry, I think yeah, there we go. Age demographics, just kind of showing or demonstrating the different breakout of new members. Just again, we want to make sure we're resonating with members where they are in their life stages. I think you saw a piece with Bear Heritage that was kind of fun and youthful. Well, there's a reason for that. They're trying to attract new members that are youthful, and so you can kind of gear your strategy around demographics and age if that's important to you. I know a lot of credit unions are looking for younger members because they skew older, but that's just all part of your strategy and making sure that you've got good alignment there, and again, a good benchmark. Then there's shares per new member. So again, on the share front, want to make sure that we're tracking this, see what the difference is between a good example here and between indirect and direct. Huge opportunity, obviously, with indirect members in this example. But of course, your data will share a more interesting story. And then checking adoption on the next page. So again, unsurprisingly indirect in this case. And this is a real example. We've just kind of zeroed out which credit union it is to protect their privacy. But this is a real example. And you can see the checking penetration for indirect is understandably low. And of course, the objective for this credit union may have been to increase that that opportunity on the indirect checking front. Then we have lending adoption, again, divided out by direct and indirect. And so we want to make sure that that's being approached differently. If you already have a lending relationship, or if you don't know about lending products and services at all, that's a very different place to be entering an onboarding strategy as a new member, right? So if you're coming from an indirect, or if you're coming because you want to open up a club account for your grandkid, that's a very different journey that you're on. So we want to be mindful and respectful of that. And this just helps us understand the adoption with lending. Auto specifically on the next page. So we know that auto is the kind of heart and soul of many credit unions, lending programs. So we want to make sure we broke that out, and that's well understood. And then we get into credit card adoption too. So another really important opportunity for members to be aware of credit cards. So we break that down, look again for opportunities. We start to set strategic goals, SMART goals around what would be successful, what would be a successful change to these metrics as we build out, a strategic approach and make recommendations on onboarding. And as we go through this with each one of you, we also start to, strategies start to reveal themselves, just kind of driven by the data, and in the conversations start talking about, in this case, products per member. What is the goal for new members, from a product per member approach? It kind of not only provides a benchmark, but shows you the rest of your membership, shows you an opportunity to kind of get new members up to speed, and maybe even surpass current membership, and how you can change those averages. And online banking adoption, again, big part and initiative of many campaigns to make sure there's the interaction and the top of wallet status, PFI status, to make sure that you're tracking those engagements, encouraging those engagements in different ways. E-statement adoption, I know we showed some examples of that and how we move the needle there, but again, very important initiative to many of the credit unions we serve. And that's the final slide. I'm not going to take you through an introduction to Synergent. If you don't know Synergent, I'd be happy to do that sometime, but that's not on the docket for today. But I did want to share a little bit more on the snapshot analysis. Any questions on any of that or anything we talked about today?
Doug, it's Dennis Manigan from New England Federal Credit Union. Appreciate you going over what that review looks like. How long does it take for you to create that once you have all the data?
Not very long. We usually do it, usually turn those around within about a week. The trick is getting the data headers that are necessary to do that, right? So it might mean a little bit more work on your side as far as kind of extracting the data necessary to do it, but we can run that pretty quickly. And if you have disparate data, I'll just say it that way, right? Maybe it's coming from a few different sources. We're really good at kind of pulling it all together.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, and we're happy to do it.
Any other questions for Doug?
Awesome. Well, thank you, Dean. Thank you, everyone. It's been great. I'm passionate about this stuff. I hope that comes through. I love this topic. I hope all the best for all of you, and would love to get engaged and help and consult wherever we can to improve your onboarding campaign that you have today, or start a new one, or start fresh, or even take a clean look at it. So be
All
happy to
Bef-
continue the
Before we let you go,
conversation.
Doug, I just want to say thank you for the snapshot offer. I think that's very generous of you. If anyone is interested in taking advantage of that opportunity, do they email you directly?
Yes, absolutely. Or you, Dean,
Okay,
any way
if I
that you
can
want
forward it over.
to, absolutely. Yeah. Any way you want to reach out. My email address, I should have put it on screen, but we can follow up in an email as well to everybody with
right.
recording and materials that we
Perfect.
had prepared. So, yeah.
All right. Thank you, everyone, very much for joining us today. Doug, thank you very much for sharing all this insightful information. I hope everyone walks away with something in thinking about their next onboarding and reboarding campaign. All right.
Thank you, Dean. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks. Everyone have a great Labor Day weekend.
Thank you.